All right, on day 3 of our optional theme in urban environments, it was a short discussion. I wouldn't say short discussion, but a short topic involving human life cycle and residence. Our learning objective was to explain the location of residential areas in relationship to wealth, ethnicity, and family status. And that was really where we focused, were family status and the stages of the life cycle. So I think we really spent some time with these questions answering the question, how does who we are affect where we live? And I know a lot of people were kind of reversing that question, and they were trying to figure out where, or how who they were was affected by where they live. But we want to focus instead on how you end up where you do based on who you are. So we kind of grouped up and we talked about how, or I should say described who we were, the average us, and then of course how would that impact where we would live, and then of course what's going to change about us that might change where we live. Maybe things that don't change about us, but then could also influence where we're going to live. And then movement. Okay, that was the last kind of topic for the day. I'm not sure if we ever got into that, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory. There are certain periods or points in our life where we're more mobile, and there are certain push-pull factors that would go along with those points in your life. And we identified that residential patterns are influenced by a number of different things. I think one of the biggest things that we all focused on was free choice, and that could be tied to our stages of life. We focused and we looked at that timeline, if you will, or table that was in the text that kind of looked at your college as being one point, and then your 20s being another point, maybe into something, and we use the term DINK. Hopefully you got that. Then into the family status, where you've got kids and how that's going to play a role in where you might live. Empty nesters, and that seemed to take a lot of our time talking about empty nesters, and then retirement after that. So we looked at how all of those different situations might affect where you would want to live within an urban area. Other factors that came up that are certainly equally as important would be socioeconomic status is going to play a role in what type of house or domicile you're going to afford. Banks, what are they doing to lend for mortgages? Building groups, what are they building? Are they building more multifamily dwellings versus single detached homes? Do we have a large housing bubble like we've had in the recent past? Or do we have too many people looking for homes and not enough homes? Local authorities, so we have the government and what they can do to get involved in terms of providing affordable housing, and then homeowners associations, and of course the Myers Park Homeowners Association is a classic example that had a large influence on who lived there. It was only a few years ago that I think they went ahead and edited their deed or homeowner association rules to reflect the legal status where they couldn't, forbid you to sell your home to minorities. And that was pretty much the topic for the day, and we spent just a lot of time talking about that. And of course we're talking about the typical North American city. We've kept it more local with this discussion as opposed to what you might find in China. But I think these things would certainly play a role there as well. Maybe more of a role would be played by local authorities in some of these areas, but still. The very last thing we did, we had some fun with, were drawing some mental maps of Charlotte. We got all sorts of different images from that, and I just kind of wanted to spend some time practicing doing some sketching. As you know, you may be required, or not maybe required, but it would help you if you could do some sketches on either your paper 1 or paper 2 at the end of the year. So I thought we would take this opportunity to do some practicing. And that was it for this lesson.